How you doing? First time in
Good.
the UK? Or
No.
No, you've been here before.
Yeah, fourth or fifth time.
Probably not this weather normally.
It's we've come to find that out that it's nice and warm for you guys. So
Yeah.
we left the heat, so we were thinking it was going to be a little cooler when we got here. So
Not so much.
There's a strong tradition of research and development at Disney prior to films going into production.
absolutely.
I was wondering, obviously you have a background as well that's related to planes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering what sort of research and development you did beforehand.
Yeah, immense, to say the least. You know, we needed to get our facts right. John Lasseter is a stickler for that kind of thing. There's no faking it in these movies. So, you know, I went out to see our team, went out to interview a whole bunch of pilots, from, just real quickly, hot air balloon pilots to glider pilots to fighter pilots, warbird pilots, commercial pilots, civilian pilots, stunt pilots, crop dusters, helicopter pilots. It goes on and on and on. So we covered the pilot pretty good. And then we had several different types of locations on the ground. We went to all different types of rural airfields throughout the United States to sort of locate a real prop wash junction. We went and visited JFK. We went on and we visited Germany. We went to India, to the Taj Mahal, you know. And we also went on the USS Vinson, Carl Vinson, the United States aircraft carrier, and really got a couple days to see flight ops and operations and how that whole thing works to get it all right.
And what sort of impact did that have on kind of how you dealt with the dynamics of flight? Because obviously that's quite a complex thing to get a handle on in animating, I assume.
Yeah.
Right, that actually had a huge piece of playing in it. I mean, we knew how the pilots felt like the aircraft should move, but actually implementing that was a lot harder than we initially thought.
Yeah.
We took a crack at it and found out that we quickly had to stop and bring in some more expert help. We actually brought in Jason McKinley, who's a flight specialist, and a few other people to come in, and we figured out, you know, the weight of the aircraft, the mechanics of how it would move, the physics of how it would move, the type of inertia it would have, the way the parts and pieces moved. And then we reset, you know, the scale of our sets so that the actual scale to the plane would be accurate. So when we'd fly the correct amount of speed, so how many miles per hour, that we'd be moving through the right amount of space. And we actually found that you really had to slow the planes down to make them more believable.
Right.
So this was quite early on you put together some test footage, I'm assuming, of
Yeah.
that.
We did. It took us at least 6 months alone just to crack the code on the flying.
Yeah.
So what's the kind of process like for you then? I'm assuming pencil storyboards is the first
That's
stage,
correct.
then moving on to
Previs, that's what we
and,
call it.
and it's a kind of a global production as well, I understand. Is that kind of something you kind of hand off to animators at any point, or do you obviously
No.
overseeing it still? Or?
No, actually, you know, we're so lucky we get to work with talented artists around the world, and we actually take on all of the parts and pieces so that, you know, we do start with storyboards. We move to previs and layout. We move to animation. We move through lighting effects and color into final rendering and stereo. And we come up with the final product, but there are many stops along the way, many departments.
And is it kind of difficult to keep a handle on all of those different moving parts?
That's
It
our
is.
job in production, yeah. It's a full-time gig.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot's going on all at the same time.
And I understand you're not directing the sequel, but you're part of the creative team, is that
That's
correct?
correct. You know, what we have implemented at Disney Toon, not unlike the other two studios, Disney and Pixar, is we have a brain trust that's all the directors are involved with, and I'm directly involved with the whole planes, cars world kind of thing. You know, I'm one of the main guys to oversee, so one of the guardians more or less, to make sure things continue to stay within the guidelines of what we set up on this first picture, and then hopefully that team is expected more or less to elevate it, and as we move forward, you know.
Yeah, because I understand there's a Planes 2 and there's even talk of a Planes 3 as well, and trains as well. And all
Yeah,
sorts of
you know,
different-
there's all kinds of rumors out there, you know.
Rumors are rumors,
as
right?
far as that goes. It really, the bottom line, it always comes down to a great story. You know, it has to be a great story that John says, okay, we can move forward with something. So it's one picture at a time right now. But John has gone down. You know, he has said that the world, the universe is huge and it's endless what can happen. So we'll just have to wait and see.
And you had his lucky charm as well in your film.
We
He
did.
did.
You notice that? Yeah, John Ratzenberger. He's in there. Ratzenberger. Yeah, a lot of fun he brought to it, and then just that good luck charm, like you said. We were able to get him into the movie.
And the other voice cast as well. There's a lot of comedians in there. That's kind of that's a semi-unique sort of idea of having mainly comedians in the cast.
I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, always have been. So I sort of kind of went with that direction first, with the likes of like John Cleese and, Brad Garrett and Dane Cook and Sinbad and Cedric the Entertainer. I mean, you can go down a list of guys. They're all stand-up and they're all really funny guys.
And were their characters, did they kind of spin out of the actors themselves a little bit? To what degree did you have the characters in place before you had the actors?
Well, we kind of knew roughly who the character was, but it was just sort of a rough shape, a rough idea. It's all about, when you get a caliber of comedian actor such as we have, they're able to take that role and own it and then just elevate it up. Not unlike what, John Cleese had done the same way, just as far as you give them the material, you work back and forth, but the magic really happens when they get the piece and they really get going.
And were they allowed to kind of improvise? I can imagine those guys kind
Absolutely.
of running with it quite a lot.
Absolutely. They're totally encouraged to improvise.
What were your kind of favourite bits that came out of that?
Oh, man. I mean, it's endless. We could spend a lot of time just talking about it. I've often said I could release probably a comedy album of our outtakes. But, all of them, John Cleese, Sinbad, all the guys really came up. Cedric. Brad Garrett. I mean, just funny little bits. Really, in almost every part that they're in the movie, there's always outtakes.
One for the Blu-ray, perhaps.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Good to
Great
meet you.
questions.
Thank you.